Welcome to the Realtor Who Whines podcast. I'm Rashelle Newmyer, your hostess with the mostest, a student of life, a connector, a passionate wine enthusiast, and your local favorite guide. Join me as we explore the vibrant Pacific Northwest, savor the finest wines, and champion the spirit of entrepreneurship. Each episode, I'll sit down with inspiring guests, supporting business ownership, and uncovering the stories that make this community unique. So grab a glass of wine, settle in, and let's embark on a journey of discovery and connection together. Cheers! Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Realtor Who Whines. I am Rashelle Newmyer. Thank you for listening. Today I have with me is Joe Ortiz. I cannot wait for him to give you tips and tricks for your fur babies. Joe is a dog trainer here in the area, and I have tons of questions for him. So before we get started, I'd like to toast you. Cheers, Joe. Thanks for being on. I appreciate you.
For having me.
Mm-hmm. In case anyone's wondering what we're having today, we are drinking a bottle of wine from Cathedral Ridge. It's the Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc, hello, do I know wine? It's just a Cabernet Sauvignon. There's no Blanc, you guys, no Blanc. But if you're not familiar with Cathedral Ridge, they have a tasting room in Dundee, Oregon, but then they also have a room in Hood River. So definitely lots of great reds. If you're a red drinker, Cathedral Ridge is a really good spot for you. But I want to talk all about you, Joe. How about you give us a brief introduction to you and a little bit about your background?
My name's Joe. I'm a dog trainer at PetSmart. Tualatin is actually my main location. I'm also licensed through American Kennel Society. I've been in this industry for about 15 years now. It's probably even more than that. Now I think about it. And I've just been an animal lover, dog enthusiast in general for as long as I can remember. Yeah. And about 15 years ago, I was given the opportunity to get in the industry, and I've been in it and loved it ever since.
That's great. I'm sure you probably get asked this question all the time, but I am very curious, what breed has been the hardest to train for you?
Yes, I get
on the spot already. You can take a sip if you need.
A few questions that I get a lot of. I've seen the best and the worst every breed. Yeah. There's a funny meme that goes around that basically is like the top 10 most aggressive breeds, and it goes something like, you can't judge a dog by their breed, and then like the number 10 is like Chihuahua, which I could say that I have a Chihuahua.
Yeah, you do.
But it really depends on the temperament.
Sure.
Some of the more high energy breeds, Labs, Black Yellow, Huskies. Sometimes it's not even about the energy; it's just about their behavior. I know, like. German Shepherds could be fairly neurotic at times, but so can Poodles.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on where the dog is kind of coming from. So.
Yeah. Has there been a certain breed? I mean, I know you love Chihuahuas, obviously, but is there a certain breed that you really enjoy working with? Or when like someone signs up and they have that breed and you're like, yes, I love a Maltese, or, is there anything that speaks to you?
I always like to see a dog that I've had. The first dog I ever had was a boxer. Aww. I don't get a lot of boxers in class, or at least not in my area. I am in the Tualatin, Lake Oswego area. It's jokingly been called the doodle capital of the world.
That's true. There are a lot of doodles.
So a lot of doodles. So when I get a different kind of breed, it's always a little bit exciting. But every time I see a Chihuahua or a Chiweenie, I'm like, just looks like my dog.
Yeah. Yay. What made you? I know that you said you're a dog lover, but what was the opportunity that you got you into the industry, or what made you be like, you know what, this is actually a really good fit for me?
Oh, I actually started at a couple other pet companies, and I didn't think that it was going to be a career path that I was just going to pursue. It wasn't until I started to get to know people in the pet industry getting to know people in the local community. When I finally was like, you know what, I think I really like this, started getting more knowledgeable of it. And then before I knew it, I was learning more about dog behaviors and watching a lot of training videos on my own, reading a lot of books, going to dog shows. So I started to fully immerse myself, and then I've worked for a few other companies since, but currently PetSmart Tualatin.
Yeah, that is actually how we met. He trains my dog, and he is doing very well most of the time. He doesn't like the floor at PetSmart that much. Like anytime we have to do anything like sit down on the floor or lay down on the floor, he looks at me like I'm nuts.
It's pretty common. Sometimes dogs are not a fan of linoleum.
Yeah.
It reminds them of the vet office. Or if they have a lot of if they don't have a lot of traction on their paws, they slip around and makes them feel like they're basically on ice.
Oh, sure.
So it makes them really uncomfortable. So like I did a class yesterday, and we were working on our sits and our downs, and had a lot of small dogs in there. Small dogs don't really like to lay on that linoleum.
Yeah.
They're already like, you know what? I'm like 2 inches off the ground.
Yeah. This is good enough.
This is good.
Just give me that treat.
I'm already tying you. Yeah. Just give me a treat. Can we just wrap this up, go home? Then it's funny. I had three small dogs, and I have one very large dog, a Leon Burger, and it's complete opposite. That it's a big dog, and it's really hard for them to stay up on the linoleum. So the moment they stop moving, they just immediately want to lay down. So
that's funny.
Yeah, linoleum could be tricky.
What is one thing that you see dog owners do that's actually like counterintuitive to your training? You can say it here, because even if it's me, it's fine. Give me the advice.
It's not realizing that a lot of what they're teaching their dogs on their own is inadvertent. They don't realize that what they're doing is undoing the training that they think they're doing. A good example of that is people coming and going. The most common thing people do when they leave is get real excited. Hey, I'm going to miss you so much. I love you so much. And when you start getting that excited and leave, you're just letting your dog know, hey, I'm about to leave you for a really long time. And then what do we do when we get home?
I missed you so much.
So much. You rolling on the ground with them, and you build that anxiety when you leave, and then they're already thinking that when you get home, like, oh my goodness, I thought I'd never see you again. So a pretty common problem is people are like, well, how do I get my dog to stop jumping all over me when I come home?
Yeah, I did ask that, because my dog gets super excited, which is funny because he actually gets to come to work with me a lot. So it's only like 1 day a week that he has to stay home by himself. Yeah. And that 1 day a week, he acts like, I thought you were never coming back.
Never coming back. Yeah. So something as simple as even when you go grab your car keys, that jingling of the keys could actually signal your dog that you're about to leave for a really long time. I always let people know, hey, well, when you go check the mail or take the garbage out, do you make a big deal about it, or do you just go? And people are like, well, I just go do it. And I'm like, that's it. You should just treat your coming and going the same all the way through. But like you were asking, it's just a thing that people just don't really think about. Do. So.
Yeah. No, it's really good advice. And since we had talked about it, I do have him even now like come with me to go, like he'll just like come out with me if I'm just going to the garbage, like too. So because otherwise he's like, are we leaving? I'm like, no, because I did grab the keys to go to the mailbox. I am going outside, so he thinks we're leaving, and now he's just used to like going in and out without us leaving.
Yeah, you essentially desensitize him to the idea. And again, you're trying not to undo all the hard work that you're putting into training, because when people are training, they don't realize how much time they're spending doing training versus how much time they're undoing things without even thinking about it.
Sure.
So you just need to be a little bit more self-aware of what you're doing versus what you think you're doing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. If someone was thinking about putting their dog in training, is there any advice? Like, I know some people hesitate, like, well, my dog's already 5. Like, why would I put him in training? Yeah. But obviously, like, maybe their dog needs training. Like, is there some advice you'd give them on age of the dog? Does it matter how old a dog is?
I always tell people to not worry too much about the age of their dog. Um, Dogs don't really hit full maturity until about 3 to 5 years old. The first year of a dog's life is actually accelerated. It's not necessarily 1 year equals 7 years until they get a little bit older. First year of a dog's life is about 13 or 15 years. Second year, young teens to young 20s. Yeah, 3 to 5 years old. So when somebody's like, I got a 5-year-old, and I'm like, they're barely in that range of full maturity. So don't just think you should give up.
Right.
I had somebody just recently sign up that their dog was 13, so they're becoming a senior, or they are a senior. Still, don't give up in exactly in your training. They're still fairly young. If you're lucky, dogs live a lot longer these days. They live 15 to 20 years if you're lucky. So yeah, you got a little bit older dog, don't give up hope.
Sure.
Yes, you can teach a dog, an old dog, new tricks.
Yes.
It just might take a little bit longer because they're really set in their ways.
Yeah. What about if someone was researching, like they're like, okay, I need to put my dog in training. What is something they should look for when they're researching where to put their dog in training? Like what kind of questions should they ask a training program or make sure a training program has?
When it comes to looking at training, I would always tell people, do your research. A lot of these places have reviews online. You could actually get a really good idea of how that training class would go, depending on other people's feedback. Depending on the facility and what you're wanting, it will all determine on what your decision would be. Because, for example, location is a big one. I need to find something that's close, so it's not you don't want to be driving an hour to get to dog training class, and you're probably going to be missing a lot of classes. But you also want to look at these facilities that are known as like boot camp facilities, where you're dropping your dog off for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. You really need to be looking into how they're actually going to be training your dog.
And the follow-up. You and I, because you and I talked about that. Like when you drop a dog off at boot camp, they're great, but if you're not doing what they're doing at boot camp, it is erased. Basically.
Yeah, and even when you were in week number 1 of your class, I always halfway jokingly say, if you realize that I cannot magically fix your dog for you in an hour.
What do you mean?
And that you have to go home and actually do homework. Oh yeah.
That was a close one, folks. I almost dropped my wine.
Yeah, there needs to be consistency. And if you don't find that there's consistency at home, I usually encourage people to sign up for more training. Maybe instead of just doing class 1 day a week, maybe do some training camps where they're called board and trains. If you don't have time to train your dog, drop your dog off at doggy day camp. I will let your dog play with all these other dogs for a good portion of the day, but then I will pull them out of camp. I will work with them for at least 30 minutes, and then I'll go ahead and put them back in camp. So then you have your dog getting playtime, train time, and playtime on top of that other hour that you actually have class. So now your dog's getting at least 2 days where they're getting a lot of mental stimulation.
Yeah. Well, that's really great advice. How long should someone keep their dog in training? So there's puppy class, intermediate class. You can do intermediate a couple of times. How many times should your dog be in training until you're like, is my dog okay?
It's one of those things where it depends on the dog.
Sure.
Training should just continue as long as you feel like your dog needs it. And unfortunately, I find a lot of people will just give up way too quickly on it. I know training could be expensive. I know as far as what we do at our location in Tualatin and PetSmart as a company, training classes are actually fairly inexpensive, even though
I would agree. Yeah.
People do often say, I feel like this is just a little much. I'm like, if you went to a private trainer, they're going to charge you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But some dogs just need constant training we were talking about breeds earlier. Good example, German Shepherds, they're working dogs, Labs, working dogs, Shelties. Yeah. You have these dogs that they're not going to, at any point, maybe when they're seniors, just get it.
Right.
It might take a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
You got to hit that 3 to 5 year mark to figure out what kind of dog they're even really going to become. And then maybe by the time they get to there and start to become senior dogs, yeah, maybe you should start slowing down on training because they're actually slowing down.
Yeah, those particular breeds. Do you think that some dogs could do like maybe the puppy class, a couple intermediates, and then maybe just do like a couple one-on-ones with you, like if training's going good at home?
Yeah, the main goal for everybody that I talk about in class is not just to getting through puppy, intermediate, or advanced class is already a pretty big goal. But the biggest milestone that I hope people could at least reach is getting their Canine Good Citizen certification, which is essentially.
I was going to say, yeah, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, will you explain what that is?
So it's through American Kennel Society.
Okay.
It's a registry to show that your dog does actually have some formal training. Usually when it starts to come, if you're wanting your dog to get into like therapy or service dog or any other specialty thing, a lot of these places, especially if they're I'm thinking a little bit bigger of a company, legitimized, a lot of these places will actually want to see your Canine Good Citizen at the very least. And then you could start working towards all these other certifications. You could start trying to get your service dog and everything else past that. But yeah, that would be at least the bare minimum.
And what does it take to get that certification?
It's a pretty simple test. Your dog needs to be able to follow at least 10 different things, exercises, and be able to listen to you without using any sort of special harness or without using any treats, which is usually the big thing for a lot of people that make them a little weary about getting their dog to pass. But yeah, if you can get your dog to listen to you for 20, 30 minutes without having any major freakouts or potty accidents or anything else, you'll probably pass your Canine Good Citizen. But it's not so much even that when I'm doing these tests, it's not even just that I'm watching how the dog is doing. I'm also watching to see how the owner is doing, because I also don't want to see an owner getting frustrated or excessively pulling on their dog or getting angry or raising their voice at their dog. That's not really training. That's just getting upset at your dog.
Right.
Hoping that they get scared enough to actually listen to you, and that's not what we want to see.
Yeah. Well, and I think that probably happens a lot too with the little dogs, because you can just get frustrated and pick them up, and you're like, fine, if you're not going to come, I'm just going to grab you. We got to go.
You're not going to listen? I won't pick you up.
I don't have time for this. Let's go. What is some advice you would give to somebody that's trying to kennel train and hasn't kennel trained before?
Kennel training, yeah, it can be a tricky thing. You got to make it something that's a little bit more fun to a dog. Like anything else that you're training your dog to do, you don't want to make them feel like they're forced to do it. For a dog, you have to reach this point where they start showing a willingness to do it, because then they're actually learning instead of, again, being forced. You're just forcing a dog in a kennel, shutting the door and just walking away. They have no idea what's going on. But if you work with the kennel, leave the kennel door open, randomly just throw treats in there. What was it, you who mentioned that you were doing that, but Mayor just likes to go in and...
He was like, just at first. Now he'll actually go in there and grab it and let them out. But at first, when we were putting him in, it was almost like he was trying not to get his feet in there. So he'd lean in as much as he could.
He's just stretching his neck out to see if he can get that treat and then get out there.
You're not tricking me. You're not tricking me today.
Yeah, you just got to make it a fun thing. So so it is working. And for a lot of people, they need to get to that point. They need to work on that so they don't, again, make their dog start to feel like it's a punishment.
Right. Well, and that's where we were. So I have a Yorkie mix for anybody that doesn't know. But he wasn't hating his kennel, but he would be like depressed in it. Like when we'd leave, he'd be like, "You're leaving me in this all day." Like even though we weren't, we're like, "It's been an hour. You're fine."
Yeah.
Like it has not been that long.
Car is another big one.
Yeah.
People are like, well, my dog is so afraid of the car. What am I supposed to do? And same thing. You have to at least start warming your dog up to the idea that it's not a big scary thing.
Yeah.
They don't know what the difference is. The thing about these younger dogs or even a rescue that spent maybe the first few years alone on the street with no sort of structure, they've probably never even been in a car. They've probably learned to stay away from cars because they're driving by fast and they don't want to get hit. But even with like a puppy, they've never even seen a car before.
Yeah.
So instead of just throwing your dog in the car and then having them be afraid and then taking a long drive across town, you could do something as simple as when you're going out on a walk, circle around the car. Don't even fully get in the car. Maybe open up the car door, throw a couple treats in there, let your dog jump in, get the treats, get out. Start making them think, oh, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
This is just another place where I could relax and maybe even get a treat.
Yeah. Obviously you guys carry multiple brands at PetSmart, but as someone's looking at dog food, I won't ask you to name brands, but what are some ingredients that they should be paying attention to in dog food?
So with different brands, everybody wants to know what the best brand is.
Sure.
A pet food industry, just some random knowledge for you, is actually 80% of the industry is actually owned by Mars and Nestle. So when it comes to like the bigger brands or the companies that own the most, you'll find a lot of the same ingredients. So trying to find a food that's not going to upset your dog's stomach is essentially going to be the food that's going to be right for you.
Right.
Now, when it comes to like my dog, her food and her age has changed. We have to do like a limited ingredient. No chicken. A lot of dogs can't have chicken. No fowl. She used to love duck. She can't have it anymore. But finding that right food, when people ask, I'm always letting them know, start off with whatever base food either the breeder recommends or the kennel, the rescue recommends. Start off there. And if you want to start shopping for a different food with better ingredients, something limited, something with not a lot of byproducts, dyes, fillers, something that's going to be a little bit easier on the stomach, then you can start trying to branch off from that one base food. But if you take a brand like a grocery brand, like for example, like Beneful, you can pretty much find it anywhere. It's fairly on the more inexpensive side. If that's all your dog could eat, you know what? You might want to stick with that. And then start to branch.
Some food's better than nothing if they're not going to eat the other food. Yeah.
I met people where their dogs, they could barely eat steamed boiled chicken and steamed rice. And that's all their stomach can handle. And then I meet other people where their dogs have an iron stomach and they'll basically eat it.
Oh my gosh. I had a dog once eat a soda can and I like walked in and it was a Mountain Dew can and half the can was gone. And I go, after one bite, why wouldn't you stop? Like, what about this can where you're like, yes, I need to eat more of this? I was like, I panicked. I called the vet. I was like, is this going to tear up his stomach? What happens when it comes out? Like, is he just like cut? Because it's aluminum. I'm like, is this going to cut him up the whole way? And the vet was like, we'll see.
Yep.
It's like,
your dog is part goat. It could just...
He was fine. It was like it didn't even faze him. No big deal.
I've heard over the years, I've heard so many different stories and examples of dogs that will just... They get a whiff of just something and it makes them sick. And then on the other side of that spectrum, you got people their dogs will eat an entire leftover ham or a chicken out of the trash can, and they're just fine. They're just the happiest dogs in the world. So
it's crazy. The pop can dog also ate 2 pounds of raw hamburger meat. Like we were getting the grill ready, and so we had it up on the counter. And we walked outside. Again, we were college kids too, so we weren't as focused on the dog as we should have been. But we walked out to the grill, we came back, and a Jack Russell was also there, and they were just like devouring this hamburger meat. And then also when you're in college, you're like, no, we can't afford more hamburger meat. Like, what are you doing? So then we were like bummed for 2 reasons.
The weather was warming up, so the thing I'm getting a lot of right now is how do I get my dog to stop eating rocks or
grass.
Or grass.
What is the obsession with grass?
Something about the scent. Sometimes grass could sell their stomach. Usually when it comes to dogs eating a lot of grass, you could actually just get cat grass.
What is cat grass?
So cat grass, because cats will do the same thing. They have cat grass or wheatgrass. Cats, they like the texture. They like the way it makes them feel. So cats don't really have a whole lot of taste buds. So they'll choose their food from more from scent, from texture, and how it makes them feel afterwards. Their tongues are barbed, so they don't got a lot of taste buds. So when they're eating grass, they like the scent of it. They like the way it makes them feel. And yeah, they can like the texture of it. Dogs, same thing. They just like the way that it kind of feels in their mouth. Dogs will just wander around the yard, or even if you ever take them to like a park or a lake or a river or creek, something, all they want to do is pick up rocks and hold them in their mouths. They just love the texture of them. So there are actually companies that make rubber rocks.
Oh my gosh, that's so hilarious.
So if your dog has an obsession with rocks, you could just buy rubber rocks, and hopefully they'll focus on that versus anything else. We actually they just came out with a bunch of new toys that are just shaped like different things that you would find around the yards. There's even rubber toys that look like giant pine cones that crinkle, and it's like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, obviously there's dogs that are obsessed with pine cones.
Yeah.
So
I always thought, like, I tried to, like, any dog I've ever had my whole life, I've never bought him anything that looks like shoes or clothes, or now that I buy him, like, kids' toys, I try to make sure it's, like, clear, this is a dog toy, this is a kid's toy, but I hate snakes, so I always buy anything that looks like a snake, because I hope that, like, if a snake ever gets in the house, the dog will go crazy.
Yeah, it's funny, they gave me, somebody brought back an electronic snake toy. You turn it on and it has a sensor, and it'll just go across the ground. And they were going to get rid of it, and I asked, so I was like, could I have this and so I could just use it in class?
Yeah.
I think this will be a really good
distraction for sure.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, as you can see and hear, Joe knows a ton. So if you need help with your dog, Joe is definitely one of your go-to people to reach out to. And if you're in our area, definitely pop into PetSmart and say hi to him, maybe talk to him about classes. How can people engage with you outside if you're not at PetSmart? Like, can they follow you on Instagram? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, trainerjoe.pdx is the easiest way to find me on Instagram. I don't see myself leaving the company anytime soon.
So you'll be there.
And you could always Google search just Tualatin PetSmart on your smartphone or on computer. And you'll actually, even in the review section, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of dogs and comments and people's feedback on what their experience is working with me.
Yeah. Well, I know that we've loved it for sure. Like, we've done puppy class and now we're in intermediate class, and our dog has definitely grown and changed. So, and to your point about pricing, I thought PetSmart was priced super fair for the time, and it's multiple classes, and it's like a fee for like 6 weeks or whatever. But I think it's very reasonable compared to, I did shop around, I did Google a bunch of stuff, and I did think it was like really reasonable. So
yeah, I often do look around. There's so many different training facilities. And one of the other things when people are like, well, what should I look for when it comes to training? Whether it's videos, books, or anything else, try to get as much information as possible. The biggest red flag that I tell anybody to look out for is the trainers out there that claim that they specifically have all the answers.
Oh, for sure.
I've never claimed that. I do have a lot of knowledge. No two dogs are going to be the same, but trainers should always want to do what's best for the dog and for the pet parent. So
Well, thank you. Wise words. I'd like to toast you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Cheers. And thank you for listening. We hope to see you next week. Bye.